We got Gavin Taylor from Highline Leads in the house. Gavin, thank you so much for taking the time and joining us today on this agency spotlight. Gavin, tell us just a little bit about your agency, who you are, what you do, and how you even started your agency.
Absolutely. My name is Gavin. I'm here with Highline Leads. I founded my agency a little bit over a year ago now. I came from the home service background and just decided to go full time after walking away from a company who shorted me $100,000.
Oh boy. Oh boy. All right. Well, we're gonna get into a little bit more of that. So what we're gonna do here, Gavin, is I'm gonna jump into some rapid fire questions. We're just gonna get to know you a little bit better, and I guess I'll throw out some questions, and if you can, just spit out some really quick questions or answers, and we'll kind of work our way down the list. And then at the end, we'll do some Q&A and a bunch of other cool stuff. Sound good?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Gavin, if you can, I know you just gave me a little bit of background. Maybe let's extend that a little bit more. Tell me what year you started your agency and kind of what you were doing at that time when you were starting your agency. Where were you? What position was Gavin in?
Awesome. So I started it in August 2018, so just last year. Now, what happened is I've been selling in-home services such as roofing, solar, siding, things like that. I came down here to Florida to sell roofing, and I was killing it after Hurricane Irma.
Yep.
But what happened is this company just decided not to pay me the commissions that I was owed, so I decided to take it out on my own and just finally do my agency.
So what made you go into, like, you could have done anything in this world. What made you pick a digital marketing agency? What was it?
I've been in the industry for about 6 years, mainly doing it for myself and just a couple people I knew. Never took it really seriously except for my own sales. So I just wanted to take that on and kind of expand it.
So you're 1 year in the pipeline, right? You're about a year in your agency. How many clients are you actively servicing on a monthly basis?
Right now, about 16.
16 clients. Wow. Okay, that's great. And if you don't mind me asking, Gavin, how much is your monthly recurring revenue right now? So how much are all these 16 clients on the books, recurring revenue in Stripe? What is that monthly fee that you're getting?
Just under $18,500.
$18,500. So $18,500, and this is so it's almost $250,000 in annual run rate, and that's just in under 1 year. You said, right?
Yep.
1 year. That's incredible. That's incredible, man. Good for you. Okay, good. Talk to me a little bit about. Let's peel the onion back. Talk to me a little bit about your team, the size of your team, and break down like what they do in your team.
So I actually have 2 fronters, so 2 cold callers. I have 4 sales guys and an executive assistant person on my team.
Got you. So just everybody, the viewers out there watching, understand what fronters and closers are. So the fronters, you got 2 guys basically picking up the phones, going through lead lists, calling prospective clients, getting them interested in just speaking to somebody about something, right? And then scheduling the call with closers. You got 4 closers that are basically taking those calls and closing deals. And then you got your admin, which are just an administrative assistant, maybe helping you like put in some orders, doing some bookkeeping, calling some clients, doing some stuff like that, right?
Just all the stuff I don't want to do.
And what do you do, Gavin? So what do you do within the company? Talk to me about like your day-to-day Gavin. What does Gavin do?
So I'll do some touch points. I will do some of my own sales, but mainly I'm stepping back to the point where I'm able to run other things at the same time. But most of it is just admin stuff, to be honest.
Okay, cool.
Real quick to kind of just add to that, because a lot of people, they're in a position where they're wanting to outsource like their prospecting or their sales, right? And you just said it yourself that you've done it yourself, right? So kind of just to kind of put context there, because when people talk about outsourcing or finding a fronter or a closer, they're expecting not to have to do any of the work, right? That all of a sudden they're just going to pay this person and this person's just going to make it rain lead, right? So just kind of to give context to this and how you did it, right? How you implemented this into your business. Gavin, just to kind of give everybody that, what did you do to actually hire them? Did you train them, or did you just hire some guy, random guy, and you're like, yeah, I need leads for my business. Here's the money, go after it, and I'll just sit back and relax? Like, what does your process look like?
That's a great question. There's so many people out there now because the 4-hour work week, things like that, where they just think, oh, I don't have to do much. That's not necessarily true. It's nights and nights and nights of not sleeping. It's nights of putting so much paperwork together, just put your procedures into place. And then when you go out and find someone, I mean, fronters I don't put too much work into because they'll just cold call in. I'll give them scripts, things like that. But for my closers, I really spend time with them. Every morning I'll hop on a call with them. I will sit there and I will train them from ground up on how to sell digital marketing.
And you just said it yourself. You trained them, right? You
Yep.
wrote the scripts. You put in the work first to then delegate it out. What people don't understand is that they have to put the scripts. They have to put in the work to actually, more importantly, if you can do it first yourself and record it to then delegate it, even better, right? Because they're just learning it from the source. So a lot of people are trying to skip that step and expecting this to just be done for them. And that's why they keep falling over, because they're like, why isn't this person closing my deals? Or why isn't this guy getting me any appointments, right? And so it's great that you clarified that so people have some context, because they really need to be putting in that work.
Yeah, I personally have done tens of thousands of cold calls. I've done all of it.
You have to, and that's the only way. It's honestly, and dude, I've been in the game for 10 years. I've sold millions of dollars personally in digital marketing, and one of my highest producers is me getting on the phone and just freaking calling people.
Yep.
Good for you, man. You did it yourself. You went out, you trained your team. You got your fronters, you got your closers, you got admin, which is awesome. So, Gavin, talk to me a little bit about the niches that you serve. What's your favorite niches?
So I do home improvement. More specifically, I'll do roofing, siding, solar, windows, all of that. About 80% of my business, though, is roofing and solar.
Roofing and solar. So those are like the high ticket guys, right?
Real quick, let me also ask you a question here, because a lot of people are asking, like, what's the niche to go after? What niche is the best one to go after? What made you, Gavin, pick that industry? What made you, out of all of these businesses under the sun, figure out that you wanted to go after windows, roofers, this and that? How'd you come to that conclusion?
Honestly, personally, and this doesn't happen with everyone, but I personally started out very generic, very broad, and I accidentally fell into that. But the reason why is because I have the experience in that industry. So I have the knowledge.
You can talk their lingo.
Exactly. I have the personality type that I can communicate with them.
Yeah.
So and to kind of give context to that, what you're really saying is that you understand their business. You understand their pains. You understand their problems. You understand their goals and their desires. You know what they're missing, and that's the reason you're in those niches, right?
Exactly.
Makes sense. Gavin, what services do you offer these guys, and what are, out of all the services that you offer them, what are also the best ones, like the number one service that everybody wants?
What's your lowest hanging fruit?
My service sheet is a mile long. I pretty much do any services under the sun. Now, with that being said, the most common is Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO.
Yep. You got to be careful also, just to give you a word of advice. That can also be very deadly, because I remember when I started my agency in the first couple of years, I had the same thing. I was taking any service, doing anything just to get funds. Once you start scaling up, you're going to realize that it's really hard, especially if you think about it. Like you know, it's really hard to get to a certain point in your agency where you're creating a structure. It's very hard to have a structure when you're doing 1,000 different things, right?
Yep.
Creating a protocol and a structure for that is almost impossible. So I just recommend offering maybe like the core marketing services, or the ones that you're good at. Maybe pick like the 5 to 10 tops. You don't want to have more than 10 services. That can get crazy.
Yep.
Awesome. And I'm just reading down my list here, by the way, guys. I'm looking down. I got my list over here, so I'm doing some rapid fire questions. What's the average monthly retainer fee that you charge your clients? So average customer comes in, you got 16 customers. What's the average? You add them all up and then you divide it. What's that average?
On average, it would be between $1,000 to $2,000.
Okay.
I think for my revenue, it's right at about $1,100 right now.
Yep. So about $1,100.
And that's including ad spend or without ad spend?
That's without ad spend. That's just management.
Yeah.
So because a lot of people are also like figuring out, okay, what's the best thing to charge? Should I include ad spend? Should they charge ad spend? Like, it's a big confusion there. And I think to give clarity to that, you always want to separate the two, right? Your management plus ad spend, and give that clarity to your client to understand to him that, yeah, one thing is one thing and one thing gets paid directly out to Facebook and Google, and putting those together into one offer, right? Some agencies do that and some agencies don't, but I think the path of least resistance is to really just separate the two and say, okay, this is my management fee, this is ad spend, and just to be on the same page, this is what we're going to be taking out every single month directly to Google, right?
Yep.
So I think that right there is huge, because that's really going to help give clarity to those going out there and offering these services, and setting those expectations that one thing is one thing and the other thing is the other.
Agreed. And by the way, on these clients that you have, are they month-to-month contracts? Are you doing a year contracts? Talk to me a little bit about the breakdown of how they're paying you and what you're contracting them for if you're doing it.
Absolutely. So I do a minimum of 3-month contract, max of 12-month. The minimum is just so that I can organize it. I have enough time to deliver results. The maximum is a year from now. I don't know if I'm gonna double, triple, quadruple my prices. So I'm only gonna lock them in for a max of a year.
Yeah, and you know what I see also, and I see a lot of agency owners, and the number one reason why they fail is they're doing these monthly. They're just no contract. And you know what? I do that too. We do that in our agency too. But it can come back and bite you in the butt. I'll tell you why. It's because you do something for 1 month, and that means you have 1 month to like go full force, impress the customer, get the lead, set up all the accounts. And sometimes it's just not enough time, because in marketing, you need testing, right? So that's why 3 months, 90 days is a perfect way. That way you don't have to rush. You get everything set up. You get the campaign going. You have testing time. You have enough time to refine the offer, refine the campaigns, refine the ads if you're running PPC campaigns. Like, that whole time is so crucial. And then once you get to that 3-month mark, you already have something that's well-oiled, the machine that's already running. And you're at the 3-month mark, when you go for that renewal for that 3-month contract, it's like, okay, well, I already have a campaign that's working, right? But if you're doing that every month, it gets a little bit more difficult. So, man, I applaud you for that. So doing 3 months and do even 12 months. 12 months is great, too. If you can lock somebody in for an entire year, kudos to you.
And to add to that, right, I think that a lot of people would be better off doing 3 months versus month to month, because it's just setting right expectations,
100%.
right? First month, if you can just paint this picture to your clients who don't know anything about marketing, to kind of give them the reasoning why you're recommending a 3-month minimum, that way they can be on the same page and there's no resistance to the 3 months. The first month is testing. We're going to test, split test. We're going to try different offers, try different targeting, try different everything to get to the best possible result, so that second month we can start trimming the fat, start to exclude all the things that are not working. And then that third month is the best month of all, because that's when we scale. We scale what's working. We scale because the data dictates so. And at that point, the conversation with your client's always going to be like, hey, Mr. Client, like, how many leads do you want? Like, our leads are coming in at $6, $7. The data dictates so. If we put in another $1,000, the trend should be that we're going to get X amount more leads. Like, how much more can you handle, right? It's predictable. And that's the end goal of this. And if you don't set those expectations, your clients won't be able to visualize that or even understand it if you're trying to explain it to them as you go.
I agree 100%, man.
So that's definitely something I believe everyone should be doing.
Absolutely.
First, it's easier, obviously, to do month to month because you don't have that confidence. But you'll understand very, very quickly that 3 months should be always that minimum expectation.
And Gavin, what are the best prospecting methods that you're doing right now to just start conversations, man? Forget about selling. What are you doing just to start conversations with
people? To start conversations, it's relationship-based networking. That's where the majority of my clients are coming from.
So break that down a little bit. What do you mean by relation-based? Is that just people on your friends that you have on Facebook that you're doing some posts? Go a little granular on that so the viewers can understand.
Great. So relationship-based networking, it can be stuck with social media where you're just going out to groups, adding a lot of value, and not trying to sell these people, but helping them achieve their goals and things like that. Now, there's in-person networking events that you can go to meet people. And one thing I heard years ago when I was actually on the door selling is one person has an average network of 250 people that they know. So you can go out and pay for people to see your stuff, or go out and meet the right person and tap into their network. And I really have dove deep into that, where yes, I have ads and stuff going, but where the best clients really come from is the people I know.
Your
And then
network.
yep,
Your network is your net worth. Your
absolutely.
net worth
And then
is
I
your
pay
net
them
worth.
really well to send people to me.
Love it, man. And where do you get most of your incoming inquiries from, if you have any that are coming in? I know I see you posting in the Marketers Mindset Facebook group that you get some people filling out your forms and stuff. So talk to me a little bit about that.
So I get about 3 leads a day on my website, on the agency website. And then I get probably 2 or 3 messages a day on social media. And then I get a couple calls just here and there saying, hey, I heard you know this guy helping this person out with social media, with the ads, SEO, etc. And that's where the majority of my inbound is coming from.
And then so essentially it's a lot of referral based stuff too that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, and just so you guys know, referrals are the best.
Gold.
Yeah, they're gold because those are the guys who come in and they're ready to buy. You know what I'm
And
saying?
let me kind of just tell you why that's the reason, right? It's because, you know, with any relationship, when you're trying to sell something, the whole goal of that conversation is to have them build trust within you, right? As the provider of that service and as the person selling it. So as a referral, you already trust the person. That's why it's such an easy sale. That's why people, all they have to do is just kind of just give them the plans and be like, here, this is how much it costs, debit or credit, and they can take, you know, collect the money. That's what business owners are used to.
Yep.
But now when you're talking about a cold audience or a lead generation strategy, now you have to actually build that trust. And that's where that business owner needs to come in and actually play his part, because that's the most important part of that, out of the whole equation. I mean, us as marketers, our job is to generate leads, right? I mean, that's what businesses don't know how to do. So that's our job, right? Now we can make it easier for a business owner to handle these leads, but ultimately it comes down to them to actually fulfill and do what they do best, which is servicing their actual clients, right? And so that's kind of that disconnect. But as marketers, we need to provide that value to them, and then also guide them by setting the expectations that they need to play their part as well to actually make this work.
100%, man. 100%. Gavin, how many, and this is a question that people always ask a lot, and this is also where a lot of people fail. How many conversations do you actually have with somebody before they sign up and become a client?
12 on average. It's I will talk to people quite a bit. Now, obviously, I do have those rare instances. I can't even say they're rare anymore because how many inbound I have right now. But there are those people who are ready to go, ready by, like you said, on the referral base. They'll just hand you your credit card. But if it's going from cold to purchase, I have people that I talked to last August, right? Like it's been an entire year and I just signed them up a month ago. So average is about 12 times.
So those guys, and you're talking about like your follow-up.
Oh, absolutely.
Talk to me because the money's all in the follow-ups. People think they're just going to start calling people and they don't know who the hell they are, and they're going to make a sale over the phone in 30 minutes. It's not going to happen.
No.
So talk to me about your follow-up method, and what are you doing? Are you emailing? Are you calling? Talk to me a little bit about that. And how many times are you following up?
Great question. So I try to touch base as much as possible on as many platforms as possible. So text, email, phone calls. For the first week, I'll do every single day. I'll just touch base, and I'll put that expectation in their head too, is, hey, I'll touch base with you tomorrow. Just make sure that if you have any questions about our conversation today, that we can really answer those questions. And then the following 2 weeks, I'll do about every other day or every 3 days. And then from then on out, it's either once a week or once every 2 weeks, just touch base, whether it's a text message, an email, a quick phone call. Hey, how are you doing?
So you're trying to touch them from every angle, which is what you should be doing.
And I kind of, just to add some context to that, like Gavin, because a lot of people, you know, when they think of follow-up, they think of like this annoying messaging, like, you know, you're bothering the person type of conversation. So that's why I believe that so many people are, you know, they're reluctant to follow up, because they believe, like, they're thinking about themselves, like, what if some guy called me every day, you know, 5 times a week, you know, I would be bothered. And because that's their thought, they're not following up with the person who might be potentially investing thousands of dollars into their business, right? And so kind of just walk people through your your conversation, like what does that touch point look like? What does that approach sound like? And like, what is that messaging, to that customer, your client, your prospect? What does that conversation look like so that someone that doesn't know how to follow up, bright,
Mm-hmm.
where, they feel now confidence that they can follow up without bothering that person, right?
Absolutely. So I would say about 60% of my follow-up is not what I would call direct follow-up. It's not, hey, I sent over that contract. Do you have that signed yet? It's more of, hey, you mentioned that you were going out camping this weekend. Did you have fun? Whatever, just kind of touch base on that personal level, because people don't want to hear, hey, did you sign it yet? Did you sign it yet?
People
What are
hate
your
that
questions? They do. They want to know that you care about them, not the money.
There's the money right there, because
Yes.
people don't like to be sold, right? And the first thing that triggers in their mind is like, oh, this guy's wanting me to buy his stuff. And in their mind is like, dude, I don't want to buy anything that you're selling. Keyword selling to me, right? And what you said there, that personal connection, that's what's going to win you the deal, because people do business with the people they like, right? And so that's what you're doing, and that's what I think everyone should be doing in their business. That's awesome.
Matt said, hey, I checked my bank account and I don't see the $2,000 payment. Did you sign the contract? Awesome, dude. So tell me about, obviously we know that a lot of leads are coming in, right? And that can start getting crazy with the follow-up game, right? So what CRM are you using right now? And why are you using that CRM versus other CRMs that are obviously out there on the market?
You know, it's funny that you asked, because prior to the Dash Accelerator, I was using Zoho, I was using Excel, I was using all sorts of random stuff, and I never liked using CRMs. I had more sticky notes on my desk than anything else.
Yeah.
But since the Dash Accelerator, I've hopped into Pipedrive, because I've been able to automate 90% of my leads coming in.
Love it, man. Yeah, Pipedrive for me, because I've used Zoho before. I've used, I don't even remember, dude. Like in the past 10 years, I probably used like I've used Salesforce for a bit, but it was way too expensive, and it just had so many features that I just didn't need. I needed something simple that I can just drop in my lead, do some follow-up stuff. And honestly, Pipedrive was it for me. It was super cheap, and it worked out really good.
Yep.
So, all right, awesome, man. Awesome. And talk to me about your consultation calls, right? Let's say you got somebody in the system now, you get them in, right? You get the inbound lead, or you get the lead from maybe one of your prospectors, or going out there, putting the lead in the system, or putting the lead in your schedule.
Yep.
What does that consultation call look like? How long is it? Are you doing it on Zoom? Is it a phone call? What are you discussing during the consultation call? Break that down for me really quick.
So I would either use Zoom or a phone call. It really depends on where they came through in my pipeline. If it was, say, on my website, yes, I'm going to use Zoom because it's all automated. Now, if it's inbound from like social media or something and it's a manually entered thing, it would be more of a phone call. I try to limit the first consultation calls between 30 to 45 minutes, because average attention span is about 7 minutes. And during that time frame, you have to capture the attention over and over again. So why make it any longer? So with that being said, a lot of people might have seen my live consultation calls on the Marketer's Mindset group, but I will really dive into the struggle points, what the objectives are, what they actually want. Because I'm not one of those people who go out and say, hey, you need Facebook ads. Let's get you set up on $1,000 a month. You're going to get leads, blah, blah, blah. It's, hey, what can I help you with?
And that's also why you're retaining a lot of clients as well. Because I know you're doing pretty good with that too, which is good. Awesome. And let's say now you sign the client up, right? Let's say you go out, you sign it. It's 3 months. You're following up. You're doing your thing. The client is ready, pulls the trigger. Talk to me about like communication after that, right? You got the client, you sign them up, first day of service, you're ready to rock and roll. What do you actually do with the client, and what's your method of doing that continuously throughout the life cycle of keeping the client?
Admittedly, this is kind of one of my weak points, and I feel good about saying that too, because I'm still looking at my processes after the sale, because I know that's really important to master.
Yep.
Now, I still feel comfortable with it. What I do is I'll have my assistant put in the order, and obviously anyone can put in the order, And then I will set them expectations on filling out the onboardings. Say, hey, look, these onboarding documents are really important because we just need you to fill them out so we have a general guideline. Now, we don't need to know absolutely everything yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to hop on another call really quick. That's within about 3 days post-sale. And then on that call, we really start to strategize exactly what we're doing on the call. Now, the dashboard really helps with reporting. It saves an entire day for me and not having to do the reporting calls, things like that. But I will touch base once a week, once every 2 weeks with my clients just to show them that I still care that they're with me.
So just basically just to break it down, say like at least like a 1 week touch point. Just even if it's a 5 or 10 minute call, say, hey, how's everything going? Making sure that everything's okay, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. And then talk to me about fulfillment. What's your fulfillment process like?
Fulfillment process is get them on dashboard and essentially work with the fulfillment team, make sure that everything's going through. As of right now, I am 100% fulfilled by DashClicks. So the only things that I don't have you guys fulfill is just like one-off services that I offer.
Cool. Yeah, and a lot of people do that. And you know what? Something that I'm curious about, how much time do you think, if you can take it as, because we're starting to like survey agencies and stuff like that, how much time do you think that the fulfillment process that DashClicks actually saves you from?
80 hours a week.
How many hours?
80.
80 hours.
Easy,
what do you think a percentage of your business's time, whether it's 50% or 30% or 75%, what do you think a percentage of your time, or even your physical time, because if your sales guys obviously are not going to fulfill the orders, you'd be the one fulfilling the orders, right? So what do you think, how much time do you think DashClicks saved you and your schedule?
95% of my time. Like, honestly, I got to the point where my entire business is essentially automated at this point. Like, yeah, I'll hop on calls, I'll do some sales, I'll hop maybe an hour a day on my sales team. But since the point where it got kind of automated, I got bored. So it's to the point.
Oh, Gavin, you still with us? Gavin, are you still with us?
Is everybody still here?
Guys, if you can still hear me and Angel, I think Gavin's audio may have went out. Drop a 300 in the chat really quick.
We're still live, for sure. Yep.
So they can hear us. Gavin, if you want to come in and out, maybe. Jump in and out. Or out and in. Out and in. All right, cool. So give Gavin a second to just jump right back in.
If you guys find this fire, by the way, if you guys find this to be helpful, we haven't even jumped into like feedback yet. But if you guys find this helpful, drop a 200 in the chat, because we want you guys, remember, you guys are the feedback. You guys are the reason we're doing this in the first place. So, you know, if this is something that you guys are enjoying, we really, truly appreciate you if you guys can give us that feedback. So that way we can also refine it if we need to, right? Because if it's perfect, then obviously there's nothing to fix, right? But definitely you guys are the reason and the way we're going to make this even better as we go.
There we go. What's going on, Gavin?
What's going on, Gavin?
That's for me.
Oh, God. So I guess where we left off was the percentage of your business. So you said basically DashClicks saved you about 95% of your time. It's crazy, but you know, when we built a platform, that was the goal, is to be able to save the agency itself, not only the agency owner, but you know, even larger agencies with 10, 15, 100 people, save them time in, you know, in their everyday grind, really. So it's good to hear that we're saving you time. So your focus is mainly on front end, which is basically doing the sales, and maybe some just back end touch points of just following up with clients. Quick phone calls once a week, and everything in between is really just DashClicks, just fulfilling and subbing it all out, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. Cool. Let's keep going. We're going to keep going some rapid fire questions. Talk to me about your value ladder. What does your value ladder look like right now? Are you getting them in for something small and then working your way up? Are you selling them this big thing? What do you talk to me about that a little bit?
So I have a made up value ladder, if you want to say that, is I'll go with a website audit, SEO audit, social audit, and then I will break down the pain points. Now, my value ladder is I will start off a conversation with something very affordable, such as Insta sites, such as directory listings, something like that. And then it will turn into multiple services on that same call or over time. Matter of fact, I posted the other day about a contract that I got in person. That was over, hey, I want some Facebook ads. That meeting was just for Facebook ads. It turned into Facebook, Google, SEO, website. It was a la carte.
I remember that. That was a bunch of stuff. So that was just you going in the meeting and just cross-selling right there.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool, man.
And these are meetings that you're having at like a chamber of commerce. Like, where are you going to expose yourself to these people? Because I feel like people don't know where to go to find these opportunities, right? But there's in reality tons of like communities and associations that you can even, some of them are free, some of them are paid, but ultimately everyone has their own strategy. I want to hear it from you. Where do you put yourself in a position to actually be exposed to these opportunities?
So I don't do much in person anymore, but when I first started off, it was BNI. It was local networking events like Chamber of Commerce, things like that. Most of it now is building value in Facebook groups, on social media, and it's not, hey, let's copy and paste to 100 Facebook groups. It's I follow Gary Vaynerchuk's $1.80 a day, where you leave 2 cents on so many posts and just like add value to all these posts and make those connections, not going in to solicit business.
So using Facebook groups to your advantage. Again, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that soon too. So I want to break down your sales team. I know we spoke about that a little bit earlier. You said you had 4 people that were doing sales. You had 2 people that were doing fronting. So talk to me a little bit about that. Talk to me about the data that they're getting, the calls, and how they're scheduling and flipping it over to the sales reps. Are you using an automated, a predictive dialer? Talk to me about, just kind of break that down from really quick over the next course of the 2 to 3 minutes, real quick.
Okay, so real quick, the 2 funnels, that's kind of where the top of the funnel. So the 2 funnels are out of the Philippines. I pay $7 an hour for them. It's like $14 an hour, 40 hours a week. Now, they will go ahead and cold call a bunch of businesses, and I will use Insta sites to get that appointment. Now, those appointments will go to my sales team. My sales team will sit there and really dive into that, and they will also run a website audit for those prospects at that time. That way they can say not only, hey, your website's outdated, but here's why. Here's what's hurting you. And then once they get them in the door, they really find out the why. Why are they interested in talking? Because no one really cares about the website. To be honest, there's a problem behind that website that you need to find. It's my website's not converting, my website's not getting me leads, whatever the case may be. That's the problem, not the website.
Quick question, Gavin. I'm going to take a step back really quick. On the fronter side, how many calls do they make a day on average? I know every day is different. And then how many actual scheduled appointments do they get for the closers?
You know, that's a great question. I completely outsource the funnels, and I should know that answer better. But essentially, I know they get me on average appointment every 2 days or so.
Okay, cool.
Also, are you providing the leads, or are they getting those leads? Or are they doing that work for you?
I think they're just doing yellow page leads, to be honest. They'll go out and cold call. I'm not providing the data or anything.
Got you. Okay. And then your closers, so they're once they book an appointment, it goes on the closer's calendar. I'm assuming you're using like Calendly or something like that.
Yes, I do.
You get them on the calendar. And then what does the closer do? The closer just goes through the demo at that scheduled time?
Yeah, they'll do the demo at the scheduled time. They'll run a audit for the business. That's one thing I want to take from the back end and put it on the front end, being the sales side of things. So I taught them how to run the audits. We have a couple different tools for that. But they'll run the audits, run the demo, and then I put them more of a project manager perspective So I'll continue to pay them as long as the client's on board, but they have to do all the touch points. They have to do all the month-to-month work with
Got
them.
you. So they're essentially building a book of business within
Absolutely.
your agency, and you keep expanding on that, which is a great idea. Good. Okay. Awesome. Talk to me a little bit about prospecting on social media. I know you touched about it on Facebook groups, right? How has that really changed the game for your agency? Is it something that you recommend people doing? Are you doing more than just Facebook groups? Are you maybe hitting people up on Instagram DMs? Talk to me a little bit about that, what you're doing there.
So I was on Instagram and LinkedIn for a while until the algorithm changes. So I've kind of reverted back to Facebook because I know Facebook. I know what I can and can't do, how I can do it. So I guess I'm really strong at Facebook. My weaknesses are the other social media channels. Now, what changed my business is the fact that I don't do in-person meetings that much anymore. So what it's been able to do is create me connections across the entire country, across several countries, where I know I can fly to Europe right now and I'll know someone in that country. And
Building a
that's
network.
absolutely.
Very good. All right. That's cool. And let's see what other questions we got here. We're getting down to the bottom of the list, and we're going to do a bunch of other cool stuff.
Perfect.
Let's see. Are you currently running any marketing campaigns for your agency for Highline Leads? If so, what are those campaigns that you're running?
So I scaled back. I'm working on my fourth quarter ads right now. I got started off with Facebook ads like pretty much anyone else. I've been doing SEO on my website. I'm still doing SEO on my website right now, but Facebook ads is honestly the best thing for my agency specifically because I have the audiences and everything for my audience. Now, with that being said, I started out with like little selfie videos, just having fun, offering things, and then it's turned into this point where I'm getting a professionally done video for my fourth quarter ads.
What are you getting on average cost per lead?
Cost per lead honestly can vary. I had some leads coming in at like $20 a piece, but to be honest, I wasted my time talking to all those people. So I position my ads in a way where I don't necessarily do the leads. I mean, I build the email list, but it's going towards setting up appointments. And my appointment cost is about $150 right now. And my client acquisition ranges between $250 to $500.
Yeah, and that's normal.
Average,
yeah. And I think, you know what? I think what most people get, me and Angel get this shit all the time, because people open up support tickets, they're like, hey, how much is the cost per lead for this? Or even like campaigns that we're running sometimes where it's like, we're getting roofing leads as an example for like $50 a lead. And that's like a phone call. That's like a Google Ads thing, right? That could be, I'm just giving you an example. These are rough numbers, so don't hold me to it. And then the client will say, hey, $50 a lead is too expensive. But it's like, dude, like even if you burn through 50 of those leads and you pay $50 a lead to close that roof at the 30 grand, you're still profitable. You're still making money. So like people don't understand the value of leads. And even like we were just at Rob Quinn's event. We were talking like some of the guys like Joel Orway and a lot of these guys that are doing like application funnels for their agency, right? To get high ticket closes. And these guys are paying like $300, $400, $500 to get somebody to fill out an application because they really get like they fill out like 4 or 5 applications, they close somebody for like a 10 grand sale.
Absolutely.
So it's worth it to go out and spend the 15 or 20% on the cost to acquire the clients, completely fine. But people struggle to really understand that. And that's one thing that especially marketers and agencies, they really need to like figure that out, because it's once you get past that barrier and you understand, like you're saying, like cost you $150 or $200 or $300 to acquire a client. Dude, that's great. That's $300 you get. That's like me saying, hey, I'm gonna give you $300, but you're gonna pay me $2,000 a month. Like,
yep.
I also think
I'm black on month 2, so it's, and what that means for the people who don't know, I'm profitable month 2 typically, if not month 1.
Yes.
I also think that there's also a misconception, especially for business owners, where they think that every lead is going to be profitable. Like every lead is going to answer the phone.
Yeah,
every lead is going to have a conversation. Every lead is going to go through the sales process. And then they're like, a lot of people, because maybe the first 5 leads may not be high quality, but then that 6th lead is a gold mine, right? And what people forget about, because you know, in my own agency, I had a lot of times really educate my clients. It was almost like a training, like the entire time. It wasn't even marketing. I was literally educating them the entire time, which is why they're still clients, right?
Yep.
And the great thing about that is once they understand the math, right? So if you get 5 no's, that yes, if you don't give up, right? Because a lot of business owners, they'll give up. That call doesn't go through and they don't answer. Oh, I'll just call the next lead. Another one doesn't answer, call the next one. I just got another one. Call doesn't answer. So if they don't answer that first time, they give up and say, okay, this is a dead lead, right? And then that 6th lead that picks up may start a conversation and may turn into a sale, but that will only happen if you don't give up on the first 5 and you commit to that 6th one.
Yep.
Right. And so people start, you know, you have to sift through out of 100 leads that you get, sift through about 70% of them to get to that 30% of gold.
Can I add on really quick to this one too? So with the solar and roofing industries, everyone's about cost per lead, cost per lead. I get questions every day is, hey, how do you tell your clients how much lead cost is? I don't tell my clients anything about lead cost because I can tell you my solar client right now that's getting $14 a lead, they complain 10 times as much as the solar company that's getting $100 a lead. And the company that's doing $100 a lead, that's 3 times the average, but he knows he's closing 50% of those leads. So I always advise people, do not worry about the cost of lead. Look at the ROI at the end of the day.
And ultimately, just to add real quick to that, what you're doing by not following up, and I love telling this to people, is you're just warming that prospect up for your competitor.
Yep.
Because, hey, you forgot to follow up or you literally like gave up on them. Basically, that's really what happened. You gave up on the prospect. The person who was at one point interested, they were raising their hand. They're like, hey, I want to work with Gavin, right? If you did not see his hand up, right, and you forgot about him, guess what? He's just going to go when someone else runs an ad the next day, he's just going to go opt in there and that person's going to call back right away. And if he doesn't call back right away, he's going to follow up because he cares about his prospects and he's going to win the lead. And he's like, yeah, I just opted into this other guy. I don't know about him, but yeah, I like your style better because you actually called me.
Yep.
I've heard that so many times with prospects talking about their bad experiences with other marketing agencies. And guys, these are all opportunities. These are all opportunities that if you know what not to do, don't do them. And you guys will keep your clients. I mean, that's all this is. It's just understanding how to build that relationship with your clients where they know you're an expert and that you're in their favor. You're on their team, right? You're not a competitor, right? They're not successful. You're not successful. If they don't know that, you need to remind them.
Yep. So Gavin, at the beginning of the call, you said you were doing about $18,500 a month in monthly recurring revenue, which equates to close to about $250,000 a year run rate. Where do you see yourself in 3 months going from 18.5 to where? What's your goal?
I want to hit the 30K a month.
Good.
One of my biggest struggles has been this 20K, so I'm just going to blast through it, go to 30K, forget about the 20.
What do you think? What do you think the number one change you need to do is to get to that goal in the next 3 months?
Double down on my marketing efforts.
Okay.
Take it a step further. Really go in on those ads and things like that. I keep making excuses like, "Oh, let's profit a little bit more this month and save up," and then I always end up paying for it once I get those set of clients who do fall off, and then I'm back where I started.
Yep. I just did a whole podcast on focusing on long-term versus short-term and how I used to do the same thing back in the day. Was I used to just bleed, when I started the business, the first couple of years, I used to just at the end of the year, take whatever was in the bank, put it right in my pocket and go party and have fun and enjoy life. Right. Then I got married. Then shit really changed. But I had a kid. Then shit really changed. No, but what I'm saying is, you shouldn't be doing that. You should be taking the money, putting it back into your business. Like, that's the right way to do it. So good for you, man. You're on the right path. One final question, then we're going to get into some breakdowns and Q&A and stuff like that. What's the number one struggle right now in your agency? Or maybe even you have like top 3. Give me some top 3 struggles right now. And if you can, just be super vulnerable. Let people know really what it is that you're struggling with. And we can also help you too and give you
what an 18.5K problem looks like.
Yeah.
People are, understand that as we evolve as humans, we find new problems, right? And so just kind of fill everybody in, because a lot of people are just struggling to get their first client. But what you're about to say is an 18.5K, 18 client. How many clients that you said you had?
That's 16 clients.
16 client
16,
problem
yeah.
you're about to mention right now. So just kind of everyone has some context here.
So post-sale, what typically happens is retention. Retention is a huge thing to focus on, because when I first got started out, I tried the free trial. I tried the month to month. I tried all that. What happened is I built 5, 10 clients, and then 2 months later, I'm back to 2.
You're stuck in a hamster wheel.
Yeah, it was a hamster wheel. Well, I got out of that because I started doing the contracts. It helped my retention, because I did find after about 3 months, your retention will skyrocket. Because if someone has paid you about $10,000 after 3 months, whether it be the ad spend, the management, whatever, they will tend to stay with you. Now, post that 3 months, where my struggle is, I have one client, like I mentioned, it's a solar client. We're getting $14 leads. They said that the leads were golden one day and shit leads the next. So whatever changed, I don't know. I don't think anything changed. I think the systems changed. But dealing with those high maintenance clients, because when you are talking about 16, hell, even 10 clients a month, when you have 3 clients who are high maintenance, that takes like 3 hours out of each and every day. And those 3 hours can be spent in other places in your business. I do have one client now, and I asked this in the group, is I tend to hold on to them longer than I should, or I will just cut the relationship immediately. So I need to find that happy middle.
Gotcha. Okay. So another question for you. Now, I know I said that was the last one, but I got so right now, you're serving about 16 clients per month. You're outsourcing the fulfillment side of it to DashClicks. You got your sales and your fronting team built out on the front end, and then you're handling a lot of just the touch points for the clients, right?
Yeah.
Touching them once a week to make sure that they're all happy and everything's good with their campaigns. You said that your struggles was not being able, for one, to keep clients long enough. And you want to be able to solve that a little bit better, right? Especially after the 3 months.
Well, yeah, that's when I first got started. That was my hamster wheel issue.
Yeah, the 3-month contract solved that problem for you, right? Okay, cool. So what's a struggle that you're having with right now? That you're.
How are we going to get to the 30K?
Kind of deciding that when to let clients go, so that way you can go on and get new clients on board, right? Because my biggest struggle right now is taking that time, because I want to make everyone happy.
Yep.
Which that's a huge hindrance on my business, and I can see it, is I'll sit there and spend the time and to go out and do more. So that's the struggle that I'm facing right now. And it's one of those hard ones to kind of fix, unless you just go out and say, hey, enough's enough.
Yeah, I think one thing that you can do, just to give you some advice to help you maybe solve that, is with that one client, right, that's giving you a bit of a headache. I would try to set proper expectations, and if he's calling you every single day, maybe you should have it on the books and in your calendar, just maybe like a scheduled once a week where he knows that that's your time. That's a time to speak. And outside of those times is time to work on the campaign to make the results better for him, versus blowing all of your time. Because if somebody's blowing up your phone every day and burning a half hour of your time every single day just talking about like lead quality and stuff, you're never going to be able, you're not going to, with the amount of money that he's spending with you, you're not going to have enough time to go out there and make the campaigns, let's say, better, right? That's what he needs to know, right? So I would set proper expectations during that and just be open with him and say, hey, look, like, we're spending a half hour on the phone every single day. I'm also answering your text messages. I'm answering your emails, and it takes me time to respond. I would really honestly rather take that time to make the campaign better, because I allot X amount of hours every single week to work on the campaigns to make them better. What I'd like to do is do structured calls, and if Monday's cool with you, we can book it on the calendar for a half-hour call, and then we can say, hey, everything that's gone through this week, we can go over that on Monday and then come up with like a problem solution type thing, and then go back in and dive back in and fix, optimize. So I would try to get him on the calendar once a week. If at that point he's still becoming a nuisance, then it just might not be a good fit for you. right?
That's
That
a really
just
good
might be a
idea.
mindset of a person. And you can't, it's really hard to change the mindset of a person because the results are there and they're getting results and they're getting leads. And someday they're good quality, someday they're bad quality. That's normal in the leads world. You're not going to have 100% perfect leads, right? So that just might not, it might be a mindset issue that you might not be able to fix, unfortunately. So,
well, one thing too to add to that, right? You only get one chance to make a first impression. So right now, he already knows that your time isn't as valued as it should be, right? Because you can just jump on a call whenever, you can chat him whenever, anytime he sends you, hey Gavin, you there? You're like, yeah, I'm right here. What's going on? Right? So there's really no value to your time. The way we run our days here, everything is scheduled out, right? So we have our free time, we have our Gavin time, we have our Dash Connect time, we have our calls time, we have our time that we're going to go live, we have our time that we're going to use the bathroom.
everything's on the calendar.
Right. So everything.
Angel knows when he's gonna go to the bathroom.
Everything is like that for a reason, right? Because that's the way I'm able to set expectations with my clients from day one. Okay, because you can't do this. Like, guys, if you don't do this day one, don't expect to do this on day 3, 5, 10. You already burned that first impression, guys. You only get that one shot. So from the get-go, before that relationship even starts, you got to make it super clear. Like, look, guys, or look, client, like, I have an allotted time on my calendar every week for each of my clients. Your time that we have available, I have the time on Monday or Wednesday, on 3 or 6 available at the moment. You can reserve any of one of those times, whichever works best for you, because this would be your time every single week where we'll connect at the exact same time all the time so that you can, give me any feedback, ask me any questions, because honestly, my time is completely booked. I work my entire day off the schedule. My girlfriend even knows my schedule. My wife knows my schedule. My kids know my schedule. Everybody's on a schedule because that's how I'm able to provide 100% attention to that and not any other distractions, right? Because I know you want my full and undivided attention, and so I want to give you that, and that's the way I've run my business to make sure that everyone gets that amount of time, right? And so from day one, if you do that from day one, not only will you be perceived as like, holy crap, this guy is like on point. This guy is no joke. He has no time. He must be, not only that, he must be super busy for a reason, right? He must be doing something good. He must be actually making it happen, right? Because if he wasn't, then he would just have all this time in the world.
Yeah. And they'll value your time way more.
Yeah, bro. Like
because they know those
they'll
things.
come to the call prepared. Like, Gavin,
I love it.
Gavin, like, this is what I got. And if you only have 30 minutes on time, like, guys, they know they only have 30 minutes. So they're not on there to talk about last week's football game. They're not on there to talk about your weekend. They're on here like, hey, Gavin, I love the results so far. Here's what I got for you. Great. You go on and you're off to the next call or off to the next task on your calendar. But if you don't structure your days like this from the get-go, and also another thing too, it's not just in your business. Do this all around in your life. It's like it's a standard, and it becomes normal to people that you interact with, so that it becomes like a Gavin thing. Like, this is the way I do it, and if this isn't something that you're okay with, then I don't believe it's going to be a right fit. Right? Go hire the guy who charges less, who has all the time in the world because he only has no clients.
Yeah.
Right? And that's their perception. But if I tell you, look, guy, I only have 30 minutes for this call because I have another call with another client after this, even if it's fake, guys. So let me just kind of take a step back here, guys, because you want to do this the right way. You don't want to lie to people too, but you want to be, you're wanting to set the right expectations, whether it's something important that you have to do in the next 30 minutes or whether it's use the bathroom in the next 30 minutes. Regardless of what it is, there's something in the next 30 minutes that I have to get to.
Yep.
And this is the time I have allotted for you. So let's jump right into it. What do you got for me? What's going on so far? I've noticed these are the leads going in, And dude, that call is going to be fire. And another thing too, to even add to that, record it.
Yep.
Record it.
That's actually a great idea.
Record every 30-minute call that you have. So then when you deliver this bi-monthly or bi-weekly report, right, not only will you record our constructive calls, but I'm going to resend them to you just so that we have the expectations, so that we know when we meet back next week, we know what we talked about the week before. And if he tries to play a game on you and say, hey, no, we didn't talk about this, and oh, well, let's just pull up the recording.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know this shit is fire when Gavin is taking notes.
I always got my pen and paper here.
That's another thing too, guys. Always. Look.
Guys, if you guys are here, can we get like a 317 in the chat? We got to light up a little bit.
Who's still awake in here? First,
317 in the chat. Oh, everybody's awake.
Everybody. How do you guys like this? If you guys appreciate Gavin for breaking down his business for you guys, if you guys truly appreciate his transparency, drop a Gavin in the chat right now.
Gavin in the chat, people.
Drop a Gavin in the chat because we truly appreciate everything he's doing for you guys. And guys, if this is not valuable enough, like what is? Like, there's nothing out there that's going to give you this type of transparency from somebody, some other person's business, right? So that you can then take back and not make those same mistakes, guys. This is what this is all about.
Gavin, we're gonna do some Q&A here. We'll do two steps of Q&A. The first type of Q&A is we're just gonna let you ask any questions. Obviously, you know my experience, you know Angel's experience with running companies, and especially on the agency side. Is there any questions that you have for me and Angel? Something where it's like, dude, I just can't figure this shit out. Could be anything that you have that we'll answer for you, and then we're gonna let people ask you questions.
I guess my biggest one is, at what point do you hire customer service? Because that's something I've honestly been considering. Is I'm great at sales. I'm great at delivering what I promise.
Yep.
But customer service, that's not my personality.
Yeah. So there's
you're pissed, but you know what? This is how it is.
Yeah. So there's two types of positions in the agency world. One is called a project manager, and then one is called the customer success manager. Customer success manager, you can think of as the person that is actually taking care of the client from like more of like the sales and onboarding and that type of approach. That maybe can be you as an example, right? Because you're the one who's maybe doing the sale, and then you in an ideal world where it's a larger company, it would be the sales rep would go out and make the sale. Okay, once the sale is made, then it would go to a customer service manager. That customer service manager would then say, hey, let me show you around the dashboard. Let me make sure that you understand everything, what all this stuff means. Want to make sure that you have my contact information if you have any questions. That's also the person that deals with renewals, right? So when that person's contract is up in 3 months, they're the person that's going to go back in there. They're the person that has that relationship with that actual client, okay? So then you can have that. Now, because it's a small agency, it's 16, which is not small. You're doing a good job.
No, it's small.
Once you get to a couple hundred clients, the game changes, okay?
Yep.
Why I'm telling you this is because you can structure it in a way where that person right now might be doing the same job as 2 people. But then once you have X amount of clients, which is maybe like 50 or 100 clients, then it splits up into 2 people, right? So your customer success manager is a person who's going to build the rapport, build the relationship with your client. Then they're going to follow up with them every time there's a renewal. If there's somebody who wants to cancel, that customer success manager jumps on, right? And then there's a project manager. Project manager is your day-to-day guy where it's like, hey, lead quality is no good, or just submitted my onboarding docs. Here's the information. Here's some of the assets that you are requesting. That's a person that takes all of that information and works with the fulfillment team to actually get it done and get it produced, right? That's like your everyday point of contact, okay? So there's 2 different people. Now, you can definitely have it, and I highly recommend having that person being one person, right? That same person that's a project manager is also a customer success manager until you get to the point where it splits. And that can be maybe at like the 50 client mark, 75, somewhere around that can split. And then you can have those 2 people doing 2 separate things. That's what I would recommend. That's the breakdown that I would do. That's what we're doing here at DashClicks, where you're going to have, just an example, you have your project manager in Slack, but you communicate with that project manager every single day. If you have any questions, he's the main point of contact that you go to if you have any questions for anything, right? And then what you're going to have, and then we're layering this in now, is a customer success manager, where customer success manager is going to be making sure that after you buy from us, we're going to do like the Dash Connect is on the front end, right? Dash Connect shows them everything, shows them, answers some front end questions. Then once you purchase it, you have different questions, right? And that person needs to build a relationship with somebody. So that's where the CSM, the customer service manager, is going to come in.
I love it.
Any other questions that you have for us, Gavin?
Really not so much. I got my plan into play. I'm going to hit 1 million in 2020.
All right, that's a wild goal. I love it, man.
We're gonna definitely quadruple. There's no.
You're 1/4 of the way there, man. You're not too far away. You're 1/4 of the way there, man.
So to add to that, right? Because now I want to just kind of give you some feedback on how to get there, right? How to take the next level, right? Because you're at a point where you got pretty much all the moving parts that you need. Now it's just a matter of optimizing.
Yep.
Now we need to optimize. We've got the flow, we've got the fronters, we got the sales guys, we got the fulfillment team, we got Gavin, right? We've got all the moving parts, right? You may not have a project manager, that's okay, but you don't really, right now you're at a point where you don't need it at this point, right? So what can we change? What can we tweak? What can we optimize? Now, if we ask ourselves all the moving components, right? What's on the front end, right? The connections. How many connections are we making per day, right? That's the first thing we can optimize, right? How many outreach connections are we making per day? Whether it's email, cold outreach, direct messaging, Instagram DMs, cold calling, whatever it is, we need to maximize that. Even if let's say you're saying you're making 100 connections right now, and these are the numbers you need to know, because you won't be able to hit $1 million in a year if you don't know your numbers. That's just the reality of the matter. So we can have a numbers conversation somewhere else, but ultimately you need to know your numbers. You need to know how many outreaches. You need to know how many of those outreaches turn into a conversation, right? Because a cold outreach doesn't mean that they're going to respond, right? There's going to be a percentage of those outgoing messages that are going to respond with a reply, and that's what you call a reply, right? And now when that reply happens, that doesn't mean they're an appointment. No, that's just a conversation. That's someone saying, what do you want, right?
Yep.
Oh, this is what I'm messaging you about to see if it's a right fit. Then that turns into what? An appointment.
Yep.
Okay. So then we have to figure out how can we optimize the amount of appointments that we can make. So if we just do the simple math, right? Let's just say we multiply things by 2. Okay. So if you're doing right now 100 connections per day, that means that if we multiply that by 2, assuming that you're doing everything else the same, that should give you twice as much of the amount of opportunities that you're getting right now. Correct? Yep. Right? So simple math, right? So if we multiply that 100 connection times 2, let's do 200 connections, and that would give you a percentage of how many appointments that turns, or conversations that turns into, then turning into appointments, and then from appointments turns into what? Demos.
Yeah.
Right? Strategy sessions, where whether it's you, Gavin, or your sales team, that's when at that point they would be handling that, where that turns then into a sale, then moves on to the fulfillment section, right?
Yep.
So we have to now put these moving parts on a track record and figure out, all right, how many connections are we doing? And if we're doing this many, how can we multiply that by minimum by 2? Okay? Because now that's going to increase the volume by 2, which should then now, flow into the rest of the sales process, right? Now, if the conversion of conversation to appointment isn't where you want it to be, then that's our next conversion. That's our next optimization point, okay? That optimization point may be the script. What are they saying on that conversation to turn that conversation to an appointment? Is everybody on the same page right now?
389 in the chat.
I don't want to be talking too fast. I want to make sure you guys are all understanding.
389.
This is some real stuff here, right? So, guys, if you can control all the things and components in your moving business that you can control, you need to make sure that those are documented, because if you don't know what to tweak. How do you know you're improving? You don't know that without metrics. So that is the next optimization. How many of those conversations you're turning into an appointment, right? Now, the next optimization from that is how do you turn appointments into what? Strategy sessions. If that conversion rate, if you're getting a bunch of appointments about, hey, yeah, let me know what else you got, but then that appointment doesn't turn into a demo to talk to Gavin or the person who's actually going to close the deal, then there's another leak there, isn't there?
Yep.
Right? So you got to work backwards, always. Work from the start and then start tweaking, just like ads, guys. If you've ever ran an ad, you should be working yourself backwards from, the click to the conversion to the click-through rate. Like, that's how you know what you need to fix. It's all around by data. If you're sitting here assuming, you're never going to hit your target metrics.
Yep.
Right? Because there's nothing you're tracking. So those are the things. Gavin, did we lose you? Uh-oh, we lost Gavin. Guys, if we're all on the same page while Gavin gets back in connection.
He's there.
Oh, you there?
There we go.
Here we are. Gavin, awesome.
Yeah, and guys, you can always, we're going to do Q&A, so ask your questions in the chat. Any questions that you have for us or for Gavin, go ahead and ask them in the chat. We're going to be able to answer any questions that you guys have right here, right now. Then we're going to ask Gavin some famous questions to wrap up, which you're going to love. So any questions, drop them in the chat now. I know we spoke about a lot and we covered a lot of data points.
We did.
a lot of useful questions that people really want to, that they kind of want to digest. There's like so many things in these agency owners' minds. So,
honestly, I want to touch point on what Angel just said, though. Those numbers are so crucial to know. Admittedly, I can work on that front end, but those numbers going from step to step, and that's something that Pipedrive has helped me out with. So what I want to tell everyone watching is if you don't have Pipedrive, it really helps you break that down, because in Pipedrive, you can break it down to each separate step of the process.
Yep, and then get reporting and metrics along the whole way.
Yeah.
Love it, man. All right, so it doesn't look like anybody has questions. I'm gonna roll through some final questions for you, Gavin. We'll have some fun here, okay? What is your favorite business book? Just quick rapid fire questions. Any book?
Business book? Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Love it. Okay, what's your favorite hobby when you're not working?
Thinking about working. No, probably Xbox, to be honest with you.
Okay. Game? What's your favorite game on Xbox?
GTA.
GTA. All right, there you go.
Yeah.
What's your favorite online tool for building your agency?
Pipedrive.
How many hours of sleep do you get every night?
4 to 6.
4 to 6. Are you a coffee or a tea person?
Coffee.
How old are you?
25.
If you were to start your agency all over again, what's the one thing that you would change? What's the one thing that you would do differently?
I would have started with Dash University and the Dash Accelerator, to be honest with you. That Dash Accelerator really turned everything around for me.
Love it, man. Guys, we got Gavin Taylor from Highline Leads.
Gavin in the building.
Doing right now about $18,500 in monthly recurring revenue. That's about almost $250,000 in annual run rate. Has about 16 current active clients that he's managing. About a team of 7 without himself, but 4 on the closing end, 2 on the fronting end, 1 admin, and then Gavin himself doing right now the customer success management for his clients. We got fulfillment with DashClicks. Basically, he said saving him 95% of his time on fulfillment, which is pretty crazy. That's the highest number that I've heard of. So it's amazing. That's amazing to hear. Usually on average, we get about 50-60%, which is also super high. So that's great. Looking to do in the next quarter about $30K a month in sales. Wants to bring that the monthly recurring revenue up to about a 40-45% increase, which is great. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Gavin, for jumping on. This has been Agency Spotlight. We appreciate you much for coming on, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Been a blast. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Bye.